people, how are you doing? I hope you're having a damn great day. In today's video, we'll be discussing how you can set out a realistic RB Leipzig career mode. Now, in videos like this, I talk about signings that you should maybe look to make, a few players that you should maybe look to sell, where you should look to try and set out your youth academy scouts as well as your actual scouts, and where you might look to try and improve the team. I have also created a shortlist with some realistic signings that I think RB Leipzig will look to try and consider and maybe bring in to the club in the future, if that makes sense. So yes, we'll be talking about all of that in this video. If you don't mind hitting the like button, subscribing, and doing all that good stuff. Anyways, let's hop on straight into the goddamn video. So recently I went ahead and replicated the Julian Nagelsmann system in, FC24 for the likes of RB Leipzig. His time at RB was quite a success and it got him the job and the move to Bayern. But if in your career mode you want to maybe bring him back, maybe he's the guy to lead the club, to the promised land, maybe to a Champions League title, maybe to a Bundesliga title, maybe he could be the guy for you. So if you'd want, I will link it at the end of this video. You can go ahead and, implement those tactics into your career mode and run a successful side. As well as I've also replicated the more realistic current manager Marco Rose's tactics into FC24 as well. So both videos will be linked at the end of this one for you to go ahead and check out. But of course, it's always going to be a shameless plug moment, and I do enjoy doing that, I must say. Anyways, let's have a look at the squad hub. So taking a look at the team as a whole, of course, we've got the likes of Peter Gulashi as well as Bleisevic. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Both goalkeepers in the latter stages of their careers, you could say 33 and 32 years of age respectively. And I have gone ahead and put down one goalkeeper that I'm pretty sure they've signed on a pre-contract, that he will be coming in at the end of the season. So go ahead and sign him up. But we will talk about the shortlist shortly. The shortlist short enough. God, that doesn't even make sense. But anyway, the point is though that their goalkeepers are kind of past it, and I mean even the third choice is still up there in age at 29. So maybe looking to refresh that side of the team, bring in a younger player, maybe a fresh crop of younger, more talented goalkeepers to fill the void that these guys will eventually leave in the side. I mean, Gulashi has been with the side for, what's it now, almost 10 years, 9 years to be specific. So yes, I would look to maybe reinvest into the goalkeeping side, bring in newer players, younger players as well. In terms of the left back / left wing back department, we've got Lenz, who's recently signed from, I'm pretty sure it was Borussia Mönchengladbach, but he's only signed a 1-year deal, or it may have been a 2-year deal. But again, 12 months left on the deal. I don't really rate him that much, so maybe looking to shift him on and bring in somebody else, maybe. But I also really do like the likes of David Raum. And in terms of Angelino, now he has been loaned out. He was loaned out to Galatasaray, if I'm not mistaken, and then he came back and he was loaned back out yet again, this time to Roma. So maybe his future's not at RB Leipzig, and maybe you can look to sell him for quite a lot of money when he does come back for season number 2, and maybe look to reinvest that into the left back / left wing back department. But in terms of the number one choice right now in David Raum, I think he's fantastic, and I do think he has a long-term future at this club. So look to build around him and maybe look to reinvest in backups, or maybe even a future superstar in the making. That's just how I would look to try and do it. And that's more or less how Leipzig sets out with their transfer strategies. It's always about 2-3 years down the line. So they might sign a player now that'll come good in the end. As for your centre-backs, we've got the likes of Orban, who's the club captain of course. We've got Klosterman, Simikin, and of course Lukeba, who's recently signed, as well as Chiabu, got signed from PSG, a very good, young, highly rated talent. But in terms of the centre-backs, I think you're quite solid. I think the likes of Simikin might be on the move in the future. He is linked with a whole host of different clubs. And of course, Lukeba, who's having a very good season and a very good first season at Leipzig. He could also be a player that might be shifted on at a later stage for a large amount of money. I know he is linked with a move to Man United. Of course, I'm a Man United fan, so I do keep up with the rumors here and there. I don't know how solid they are. It could just be rumors, but he is linked with a move away after a very good season. So maybe looking for another backup for either Lukeba or a Simikin. That could pan out very, very well for your planning and your career mode as well. In terms of the right backs, you've got one recognized right back, and then of course Simikan can also play there, but you've got Henrik. So what I would suggest you do is obviously don't sell him. I think he's a very good, solid player, and I think he will be at Leipzig for the foreseeable future. Maybe look for a backup, and I do have one on the shortlist. So again, we will talk about that soon enough. Now, we've got the likes of Schlager, recently brought in, or 2 seasons ago, he was brought in from Wolfsburg, and he's been a very, very good, key, instrumental player to this team's success. Of course, they were knocked out in the Champions League versus Real Madrid, but I thought he was fantastic in both legs versus Real Madrid, making sure that he was a physical, strong midfielder that could just, have no BS in the midfield. So I quite like Schlager, to be fair. And then you compare him with a Campbell or a Hidaria or even a Seevold, who's also having a very, very good season. Recently brought in from Salzburg, if I'm not mistaken, RB Salzburg, one of the many RB clubs in the game. And again, we will speak about that shortly. But again, also having a very, very good season. Now, we've got Ilax Moriba, brought in from Barcelona like 2 or 3 seasons ago. And apparently his attitude isn't the best, hence why they've loaned him out countless times. His work ethic also isn't the greatest. So when he does come back from his loan from the likes of Getafe, I would maybe look to sell him on, because I think that is something that Leipzig will look to try and do. But yes, anyways, further on though, into your number 10 department, of course, Leipzig mainly play a 4-2-2 system. So you will have quite a few number 10s. You've got Elmas, who's also recently brought in from Napoli. You've got Baumgartel, brought in from Hoffenheim, that's the one. And then we've got Danny Olmo and Xavi Simons, however you want to pronounce it. But for Olmo, he is linked with a move away as well. A very good talent, a Barcelona youth product, if I'm not mistaken. Brought in 3 or 4 years ago, and really last season and this season, he's really shown how good of a player he can be. He is linked with a move to Arsenal, Man United. A move to the Premier League is something that he has said that he wants to try and, do in his career. And maybe it might be this summer where he gets that move. Now, I don't know exactly where he will go, but you might want to shift him on if you're trying to follow that realistic, aspect and dynamic that you are trying to set up. And again, for Xavi Simons, they have said that they want to try and keep him for next season on loan as well. But I do think that with Kylian Mbappe leaving PSG, maybe the likes of PSG would want one of their star talents back. And I do think that Xavi Simons would want to go back to PSG. But never fear, I have got a few players that can adequately replace both Olmo as well as Simons in the summer. As for your further forward players, we've got the likes of Timo Werner, who is out on loan, as well as a few other players here. But mainly Timo Werner, I would maybe look to sell him on. I don't think his second stint at Leipzig has worked out as well. And the fact that they were so willing to loan him out in the January window to a team like Spurs just shows that he's not in the future plans of this club. So when he comes back, either sell him back to a Premier League club or maybe even, just try and get him out of the door. As for your further forwards now, your strikers, we've got Yusuf Poulsen, a key figure in this side since before time began, you could say. I'm joking, obviously, but he is a key, figure to the success of this team, as well as, how they've built up through the years. So he is obviously a no-go. Don't sell him. I know in career modes, whenever you start with other teams, it seems like the likes of Poulsen always get sold. But honestly, don't sell him. He's a fantastic player to have in your side for the foreseeable future as well. And then we've got the likes of Andrea Silva. He had a very good season a few years ago with Leipzig, and then obviously, I don't exactly know what happened, but they ended up loaning him out. And then last year, he had a very good season at Real Sociedad that made them continue the loan spell with them for this year. And then it hasn't really worked out. He's got a £15 million or euro release clause to, make the deal permanent, and they don't want to do it. So I do see him coming back. Maybe the likes of Leipzig use him, and maybe he finds, some more form, or maybe they look to try and shift him out the door. I think that is completely up to you and how you see the likes of Andrea Silva fitting into your side. And now we have got the likes of Luis Openda as well as Sesko. One joining from Salzburg, the other joining from RC Lens, both signing this season. So I don't see you getting rid of them off the bat. But again, they are also linked with moves to Premier League clubs or even just bigger clubs in general. Maybe it's a Bayern Munich, maybe it's a Real Madrid. I know for Sesko, there are talks and there are rumors, but we don't actually know. I think maybe a more realistic move might be to the Prem for both. But again, for the first season, you can't get rid of them. So build them, develop them, try and, pump their overalls up, as well as, that will improve their transfer value. and then you can look to sell them on for big amounts of money, maybe in season 2 or season 3, depending on how you see the side progressing and building, of course. So taking a look at the scouting instructions, now I highly rate the RB system and how they set out their teams and their scouting networks and how they develop the talents and then eventually sell them on for massive profits and all that good stuff. It's essentially a great way to run a career mode if you are playing that Moneyball type system. And I've gone for 6 different scouting instructions, 5 of them being for specific positions and then the other being for just young talent that you might look to try and sweep up. So both the left and the right back are absolutely essential. First team quality, it is a must. You are quite weak in those areas. You don't have much depth. You've got Rahm and Henriks as the most recognized players. So maybe looking to bring in a younger player that's maybe just approaching their prime could be an option for both the left and the right back area. The defensive midfielder, you've got one actual recognized DM in Schlager. I mean, Hadara can play there, but he also plays as a right midfielder, a central midfielder as well. So he's a bit more of a utility player, you could say. So maybe finding a defensive partner for the likes of Schlager could be an option, and again, just approaching their prime and obviously first team quality. For the attacking midfielder now, we have said that Xavi Simons as well as Olmo might be out the door for season number 2. So maybe looking to scout ahead, find somebody who might be able to come in and develop and maybe just, fill the void that both of those players will inevitably leave. So again, attacking midfielder, 16 to 26 years of age, and again, first team quality. As well as the striker position. Very similar roles and instructions I've given the scouts to try and find, because it's always going to be within that mold. You are probably going to lose the likes of Openda as well as Sesko at some point in your career mode. There'll be a massive club that comes in and wants to give you 100 million for either or. And I think it would be quite silly and not very realistic if you decline that sort of money. So looking for adequate backups could be the solution for your long-term problems, you could say, although 100 million doesn't sound like a problem to me. And then finally, the last instruction that I've set out for my scouts is looking for a 16 to 23-year-old, and he will have to be a world-class prospect. Looking for the future is very much what all the RB clubs are looking to try and do, making sure that the future is secure with the various different talents that they will look to bring in through the doors. And again, we have seen this with the centre back. I don't know how to pronounce his goddamn name, but the centre back that they brought in from PSG, who's only 18 years of age, he is going to be an absolute monster when he starts approaching his prime, maybe even 21, 22. And again, there will be massive European clubs that come in and try and buy him. So you are looking for players similar to that sort of ilk. Okay, now we will start off with the shortlist. Now, some of these players are actually linked with a move to RB Leipzig in real life, and there are others that are not really, but I think they kind of fits the trajectory and the journey of traveling through the various different RB teams, you could say. So we'll start off with Van der Voort. I think that's how you pronounce his name. A good ball-playing centre-back, 21 years of age, 6'4". I'm pretty sure that he has signed a pre-contract with RB Leipzig for next season, that he'll come in and be one of their goalkeeping options. Of course, like we discussed earlier, Gulashi, and so on, they're kind of getting up there in age, so it doesn't really make sense to bring in an older goalkeeper. And I think 21 is a perfect age to come in, learn under the slightly better goalkeepers, and then eventually in a season or two's time, he'll be the outright number 1 choice. Now, 2 players here, essentially, that are not linked with a move to RB Leipzig in real life. There's no adequate, confirmed rumors or anything of the sort. But just because we have seen countless times RB Salzburg selling to RB Leipzig for a slight discount, and then those players using the RB system to, climb the ranks, you could say. And of course, Dedic, he's been in quite a few of these videos, but he is a very, very good player that can play on either the left or the right, as a right back or a left back, depending on how you see him. He's also 20, and he is having a very good season with RB Salzburg, so he could make that next step for the future. As well as, Omar Soleil, a fantastic career mode signing to make just in general. But I do think that maybe sometime in the future, depending on, if he can string together a few games, because he has been largely injury prone since, moving to Salzburg. Maybe if he can string together a few good games, the likes of Leipzig might want him in the main side. So it could be an option for you guys going forward. another player that has been linked with a move to the big German club. That is Arthur Thietz, having a fantastic season with Stade Rennais. Also for the Belgium side, he has been fantastic. He's also left-footed, so he could be an adequate replacement for the likes of Lukeba if you do shift him on. And he does have a few good playstyles in power header and aerial. Also a very good ball-playing centre-back, which is essentially what you need for both a Julian Nagelsmann as well as a Marco Rosa system. So I don't think you can go wrong. Again, he is also quite young, 23. And again, he could fill that void of a Lukeba in the future. As for your midfield, we did speak about potentially bringing in a DM and Bidstrup. I'm pretty sure Bidstrup was playing for Brentford and then they let him go and Salzburg signed him up. Again, not really linked with any, confirmed rumors or anything of the sort. It just makes sense to me that maybe in the future he would look to make that move, as well as the likes of Susic. They would both look to make that move to the likes of RB Leipzig as well. So 22 years of age, a DM can, have a very good role next to the likes of a Schlager, has got intercepts and anticipates, so he is a very adequate, switched on midfielder that can look to try and run the midfield as well as break up as much play as possible, which is essentially kind of what the likes of RB Leipzig are kind of missing at the moment, next to the likes of a Schlager. And then, of course, Susic, like I said, I kind of see him as a Szoboszlai reincarnated player. He's left-footed. I know Szoboszlai is right-footed, but he's left-footed. He's got some insane play styles, power shot, incisive pass, long ball pass, Trivela, and of course, technical dribbler. He could be the best possible replacement for a Xavi Simons. He's only 20 as well, so he's got loads of room to develop and grow into, and he could be a fantastic talent in a few years' time. And I mean, it's not out there on the internet, but I remember in FIFA, I think it was like FIFA 18 or 19 maybe, thinking Szoboszlai is going to be that next, great player. And to be fair, he has. He's leveled up. He played incredibly well at Leipzig. He's had a very mixed season at Liverpool, but when it's been good, he's been very good. So why can't Susic do the same? And I honestly think if you do lose the likes of an Olmo or a Siemens, he could be fantastic. And then, of course, you've got another few attacking midfielders here in Odrigaro, Gulak, as well as Kanus, who are all very good, adequate, young players that can also come in and develop in this RB system. Of course, Odrigaro, a young German talent, 17. He's been linked with basically every German club under the sun. And again, Gulak as well. Fantastic player, currently playing for RB Salzburg, is linked with a move. And there are rumors linking him with a move to RB Leipzig. I'm saying RB way too much. But yes, he is linked with a move there. And then, of course, Kanus as well. El Kanus, sorry. I don't really know too much about this player. I just know that he has been linked with a move. And I think whilst they were scouting this man right here, Van der Voort, they may have come across this talent in El Kanus right here. Again, an attacking midfielder that can potentially fill the void of either an Olmo or a Xavi Simons. So taking a look at your scouting network for the Youth Academy, I've selected 3 different countries in Austria, France, as well as Germany. Of course, Germany, because that is the country that Leipzig are currently in. I say currently like they're going to move, but that is the country that they reside. France, because they have managed to find some incredible young talents from France and just make sure that they have the platform to build off of and more or less generate their careers. I mean, Mukiele, Simikin as well. I know they may have been signed from various other clubs, but signed at a very young age and developed at Leipzig. So again, you are looking for that good young talent. And then, of course, Austria, because why? Well, Red Bull are from Austria. They originated from there. And it is always nice to see the scouting networks generate from that area of the world. So, you can find the next great, David Alaba, for example, and maybe generate a very successful Austrian chain through the RB systems. And then finally, we will talk about the budget. Now, essentially, you start off with around 93 million euros. It's gone down to 85.5 because I went ahead and bought a few scouts and all that good stuff. But one thing I will say that hopefully FC eventually incorporates, I know you can do it in Football Manager, but having that, brother-sister club relation where you sell players to certain clubs, you loan players to certain clubs, and of course, with a club like RB Leipzig, who have these various different chains in RB Salzburg, the Brazilian RB club as well, there's the American RB club as well. You have all these various different RB clubs, and they are all linked and chained together. And quite often you see RB Leipzig sell players to the American club. I know Forsberg has been sold to the RB chain in America. And of course, Salzburg quite often sell players from their club to RB Leipzig at obviously a discounted price. And I think RB Leipzig are quite happy to loan various players to, their different clubs. So it would be something nice to maybe incorporate into the future games. I know Manchester United currently are trying to do this with Nice. And I know Manchester City, they have the City group and all those various different teams in Girona, Man City, the American one as well. I think it's New York, or is that New York Red Bull? I don't know. But yes, it would be a nice element to maybe add into the game, because more and more clubs are starting to do this as well. I mean, even Chelsea, for example, they have a slight little chain that they're also building. So anyways, I'm slightly waffling, but you start off with quite a bit of money. So you can have some good reinvestment into the side, especially if you do lose some big name players. But again, I wouldn't say go and spend 92.5 or 93 million euros on one player. It's never been the RB Leipzig way. It's never been the RB way. Always looking for reinvestments into players that they can look to sell on at a later date. Very much the Moneyball system. And there you have it, guys. That is how I would start off a realistic RB Leipzig career mode in FC24. As for always, if you don't mind hitting the like button, subscribing, and all that good stuff. And of course, there is a video coming out later. Episode number 2 of the Schalke career mode. I'm absolutely buzzing for this career mode. So if you guys don't mind, clicking on that video, showing some support, leaving a comment as well, maybe a few transfer options and ideas, or just your natural thoughts on the career mode and where you might see it going. That would be fantastic too. But anyways, until the next time, my dudes, I hope you have a damn great day. I'm out.